few years ago I found this really great looking boat on the side of the road. I did a lot of work on it, but actually just the minimum amount to put it back in the water. But now that I've done some good sailing on it, all the way to Chatham's and back, it was time to haul it out again and finish what I started. I hauled out in Northsand Boat Yard in Whangarei, New Zealand's capital of boat maintenance. The main job at the moment is scraping the inside, but that's kind of hell, so I'll do something more fun, something I wanted to do for a long time. Get rid of these, the dagger board wells. Most Pahi 31 owners do not use them. I've never used them. The dagger boards are something I just left out of the original restoration because they just weren't completely necessary, and the boat's V hull shape allows it to sail to windward without them. I just never found the report of a Pahi 31 owner who thought they were essential. I always wanted to know if there was going to be water in this little gap. Oh, only a little bit. This change also meant gaining some storage space, losing a trip hazard, and moving the hatch lids into a more convenient position. Well, the problem with fixing right is when you discover it's worse than you thought. So I was just like innocently removing this thing. Yeah, down here it's not looking very good. Gold, but it's actually really hard. So maybe it's actually not that bad. I think I might have to replace some of that bulkhead. It smells like swamp. Not ideal. Times like this, you wonder, should I fix it or should I just build a new boat? So I was hoping that it would stop here and that would be solid. Yeah, at the bottom of that is just pure mush, and then the bottom of this plate is mush. It's porridge, it's wheat bix, it's a soggy biscuit. So the thing is this, how far does it continue here? Does it go all the way? Am I going to have to replace the entire keel? Cut the bottom off the boat and put a new bottom on? Or should I just scrap this hull and make proa? It might make a more interesting YouTube channel than just fixing a catamaran. On the other hand, I think I would rather build proa from scratch. I felt I needed to see if the other side is going to have the same problem. It seemed a lot better. So far, all the wood's been solid. There's been more water on this side, but just not smelling much rot. So far, very encouraging on this side. Time for a dumpster run. This is the second load. Pretty much got everything now. And the good news, it's all solid around here, so we're actually going to get away with just plugging this hole and not having to rebuild the keel, which is going to be a lot faster. Sometimes you need to remove good wood just to gain access to the bad wood that needs fixing. I needed to replace some of this deck and the bulkhead behind it. Although it looks like there won't be any harm in replacing this piece either. That looks all good. Just about ready to start putting wood back in. So that means it's time to get organised because we've got to wait for glue to dry. Okay, so this is like the minimum amount of time it should be done in. This is for the bulkhead here. I've just made a list of everything that I'll need to do in pretty much the order, and I've written a number for what can be done on each day. The first job was to create a patch for the bulkhead from this template. Okay, here's the patch from the inside. Well, normally you would scarf it or cut this out and butt joint it or something like this, but I'm going to try finger joint today So I'm going to cut zigzags into here to increase the glue area and mean that pulling apart, you know, whichever way the force is on it, it will have a lot more area and be more in shear than just pulling straight across a glue line.
And I purchased a cordless palm router, which has proved quite useful for cutting weird shapes with quite good accuracy. Now that the bulkhead was in, time to remove the deck. The deck actually seemed fine from the top, but it was definitely starting to rot in the bottom, and the rot extended under the end of the cabin, so I might as well just replace the entire thing. Now I had a giant hole in my boat.
Although the deck was surprisingly rotten, because from the surface, over on top of the glass, it actually seemed fine. It's just when you looked at the bottom, something was clearly wrong. One question will be, it's still tapered in there, will I be able to get a whole sheet into there that goes right to that wall? I think I will be able to.
When you build this boat, you put the deck on before you start building the cabin. That's why the cabin goes over the deck. But I'm trying to insert the deck into a ready-made cabin that I don't want to rebuild. Bending the deck with a ratchet strap did the job.
Making a new hatch lip. So probably when you built the boat originally, you did the deck, put the lips on the hatch, and then built the hatch on top of that. I'm doing it in the reverse way. These hatches should be fully sealed, except in the part of the... Oh yeah, no problem. Oh.
It was a bit of a faff to get the deck in position. I didn't really want to repeat that with it covered in glue. So I just propped up the deck, and then I could paint the underside using a roller on a stick. I needed to get the hatch rims ready because the next thing was to glue the deck on, and I thought I'd probably need to have access inside under the deck, so therefore I should cut the hole for the hatches. But I wasn't sure exactly what position it would be in, so I made the hatch hole a little bit undersized. So that is, I can still cut it bigger.
Sorry, I forgot to film it, but I glued that on.
Now I could embiggen the hatchway, but just in the directions I was sure of. At the back it went against the bulkhead, and in the front there was a beam, so I just trimmed it with the router.
Hatches aren't exactly the same size, so I just used the other one. That's much closer. Like that's less than 5 mils. I don't mind grinding that. And then it's flush over here. Just gotta be happy with the side to side. Put some blocks on the inside. This is where leaving it undersized it really helped. So I can clamp those in place, and then I'll better lift this off, put glue on, and then put it back in exactly the same spot.
This deck was now ready for fiberglass, which I didn't film. But I also needed to do a similar repair, but not as big, on the other side. This deck wasn't rotten, but I had removed the dagger well, so I needed to patch that hole, and I wanted to move the hatchway so that both sides matched. I was getting a bit lower on plywood, but I was able to just extend the edge of the hole over the hole to where the hatch would be. Remove a bit of a good deck that would now be hatchway, and to patch the hole from the old hatch. I remembered to film the fiberglassing this time. I did one layer of 300 gram double bias and then 100 gram cloth. The boat was originally built with chop strand mat and then cloth, but double bias is much stronger than that.
Tarp touch that sometimes, okay. That's going to need a bit of sanding, probably some clearing.
After all this work, a little bit of sanding didn't scare me anymore.
Pretty good surface apart from that though.
With something like these hatches, you've got to double check that it fits anytime you add something. It fit. And launch day is getting closer, so I better put this new bulkhead back in. I also, of course, patched the hole in the bottom and fiberglassed inside and out, and I neglected to film that on this side, and then I didn't get around to filming it on the other side either, so you have to imagine it. And with this side glassed, the next step is primer.
Getting quite civilized down here. Workbench. And found this in the trash and put some tables on, some shelves on it. But then I had a sudden urge to like, I'll check the bin right now, and this was there right before, and then like I was just there before the truck turned up. I hope that this chair doesn't make me too unproductive. Might have to get rid of it if it does. Painted the foredeck.
After a couple of years of cruising, I had more than a few battle scars, so it was time to touch up the yellow paint as well. And also the anti-foul.
Okay, I decided I'm going to put a bird strap on in light grey. I'm going to make light grey by mixing a little bit of black into the white.
I didn't have a bootstrap originally, but what I did get is a bit of scum growing across the top, and I'm way too lazy to scrub that off, so I'll put the bootstrap on once and hopefully not have to do that. Now the boat could go back in the water, but I'm getting ahead of myself. You haven't seen any of the things I did on the interior, which was a lot. That's all going to be in the next video. So thanks for watching all the way to the end. If you've enjoyed this, please post a comment. That's the #1 way to encourage me to make more videos.